All right, next up, we're going to do the NFC West. The NFC West. Now we've got the LA Rams. So the winners of that division I have as the LA Rams. Rams, I have them going 10 and 7. Now it all kind of depends because this is one team that, they kind of scared the Eagles, right, in the wild card, and they absolutely handled the Vikings both times they played last year. So the Rams are good. They are a very young, ascending team that's only continuing to get better because of master drafting, which is why I'm so glad that James Gladstone is with us. Now I have them going 10 and 7 though because they have like getting Devontae Adams makes a lot. Getting to play alongside Puka Nacua helps out a lot. But obviously, again, their division isn't a cakewalk, right? And they still play in a tough NFC. They still got bouts against as division winners. They still got bouts against the Lions, against the Eagles, against the Buccaneers, against some other class players in that division. So it's not going to be an easy schedule for them. Um, and this also kind of depends on Matthew Stafford, right? If Matthew Stafford misses any time at all this year, the Rams will drop significantly, and we might see a different division winner. I've heard some back tightness things in the preseason until we see if he's injured. I'm gonna assume that he's healthy, right? Until he starts missing games. But for a lot of games that are close, if he's not playing, the Rams don't win, right? Like, games against the Jaguars, against the Texans, against a lot of other teams, when we play them in London. If Matthew Stafford's not out there, I don't think the Rams win. They don't have a backup quarterback capable of playing at his level to get those guys involved. So if I was the Rams, that would probably be something I'd be looking into trading for, you know, any quarterback out there that could maybe step in and at least hold down the fort. Joe Flacco would probably be a great one, even though it's like, why would you want two old quarterbacks on your roster? But it just depends on how if Matthew Stafford is in danger of missing any time. And if he is, like I said, this will drop significantly. But only time will tell. Next up in that division, we got the San Francisco 49ers. I got them going 10 and 7. 10 and 7. I think they lost a lot of pieces defensively after a lot of them were hurt last year. So a lot of those guys are still getting back up to getting healthy, right? Brandon Ayuk is still out. I think he's going to be out for like the next 2 or 3 weeks or so, or we'll see. And when he comes back, he'll still have to get back up to snuff. So a lot of players that are hurt. And their draft was mainly defensive because I think they wanted to really make sure that their defense can get back up and running. But this is still a Kyle Shanahan coach team. Brock Purdy is still that guy. Still got George Kittle. Still got Fred Warner. Still got Nick Bosa. Still got dogs on that team. If I'm not mistaken, they still have Trent Williams, but I'm not entirely sure. So I have them going 10 and 7, winning record. They end up sneaking into the playoffs as that seventh seed because they just barely edge out all the other teams. Actually, I stand corrected. This is actually the second division where every team has a winning record, which I'm actually kind of surprised by. But yeah, so I have the NFC East. No, I have the NFC North and the NFC West, both all teams having a winning record. So the next team coming up is the Cardinals, and I have them going 9 and 8. Um, and like they were a very quiet 8 and 9 win team last year, right? And so based upon the moves, they had a great draft. They had a really good offseason. Um, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up stretching a little further than this. Maybe they get to 10 and 7 and sneak into the playoffs. Like I could see that happening. Again, to me, it's still a tough division. Rams, 49ers, and the Seahawks, what they were able to do. I see a lot, I have them splitting a lot with a lot of those teams. There's not really teams that they'll be able to just steamroll. Like the Eagles kind of benefit from having the Giants in their division because I think the Eagles are just going to sweep the Giants, right? I don't see anyone in the division for the Cardinals to sweep. I don't see anyone for any one of these teams to sweep. The Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, and Seahawks, they're all kind of evened out. So I got them going 9 and 8. Again, wouldn't be surprised if I got a few more wins here. I had to adjust it a little bit because originally I had the Jaguars beating them, and then I thought about it a little bit, and we're going to Arizona, so I have the Cardinals beating the Jaguars, and I'll explain when I do the AFC South division rankings later on. But I got the Cardinals going 9 and 8, and I also got the Seahawks going 9 and 8 with Sam Darnold at the helm. Now, I think they went 9 and 8 last year, and I think they've been 9 and 8 for like the past 3 years, and I'm sure they're probably looking to break free of that. And I don't know if they thought that Sam Darnold would be the guy to make that difference as Jackson Smith Njigba continues to develop. Um, but again, my main question for the Seahawks is like, they've got a secondary, they got some young quarterbacks. Are your edge players going to step up? Do they have edge players? Because they have some functional ones, but they don't really have like superstars. They don't have guys that are top in the league. And they've got a pretty stout interior, with Leonard Williams kind of anchoring it, but he's continuing to get older. And then offensive line, it seems like every time like one part of their line is good, the other part is suffering. Like they've had good edges, but then the interior suffers. Or when the interior is strong, they didn't have good edges. And right now, their interior line is kind of a question mark, right? Linebackers wise, I think they got good linebackers, pretty good defense. They'll have a pretty good running game. So I think they'll be, an average team. The question is like, is 9-8 going to be good enough for what they paid to bring in Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold. That'll be the question. Again, I think in a loaded NFC, it's going to be hard for the Seahawks to stand up and make some noise. Maybe they should have traded for Micah Parsons, but after the Jamal Adams trade, there's no way they're going to do that again. So I got the Seahawks going 9-8. So just to recap, Rams 10-7, 49ers 10-7, Seahawks and Cardinals both at 9-8. That is the NFC West. So I guess I have two divisions in the NFC, both in the NFC, that are all going to finish with winning records.